by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm on my limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm on my limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Born to kill it, lost before I'd ever tell. Stone pillars, crack under the weight of hell. Got a vision, blood all in the wishing well. I'm about to blow out my chakras, baby. Cause I slide, I drift through dimensions. It's not tough for me, it's too much real. Look once, twice, I'm time bending. Beam upon my chest, while I'm slipping through. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Throw the answers to keep them quiet. Let that feel burn, we never try it. Live a long time, make up revive it. Stay to fight it, or die silent. Sure can I hit? Curse mark on my wrist. Cause all these black diamonds dancing like they don't fit. Showing on my eyes, but I see through the best. Village in the leagues, but I never left. Can you feel the lightning when I strike out? You try to replicate, but you don't have the guts. I feel like I'm going with the lights out. There's a demon in my body and it's calling for blood. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Because I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Throw the answers to keep them quiet. Let that feel burn, we never try it. Live a long time, make up revive it. Stay to fight it, or die silence. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm on my limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Born to kill it, lost before I'd ever tell. Stone pillars, crack under the weight of hell. Got a vision, blood all in the wishing well. I'm about to blow out my chakras, baby. Cause I slide, I drift through dimensions. It's not tough for me, it's too much real. Look once, twice, I'm time bending. Beam upon my chest, while I'm slipping through. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Throw the answers to keep them quiet. Let that feel burn, we never try it. Live a long time, make up revive it. Stay to fight it, or die silent. Sure can I hit? Curse mark on my wrist. Cause all these black diamonds dancing like they don't fit. Showing on my eyes, but I see through the best. Village in the leagues, but I never left. Can you feel the lightning when I strike out? You try to replicate, but you don't have the guts. I feel like I'm going with the lights out. There's a demon in my body and it's calling for blood. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Throw the answers to keep them quiet. Let that feel burn, we never try it. Live a long time, make up revive it. Stay to fight it, or die silence. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. it lost before I'd ever tell. Stone pillars crack under the weight of hell. Got a vision, blood all in the wishing well. I'm about to blow out my chakras, baby. Cause I slide, I drift through dimensions. It's not tough for me, it's too much for you. Look once, twice, I'm time bending. Beam upon my chest, while I'm slipping through. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Jet black, I'm masked by the night. Cold heart, throw that to the side, yeah. I'm a limit, but I never push it farther. Cause I live to be a hero, not a martyr. Throw the answers and keep them quiet. Let that feel good, we never try it. Live a long time, like I'm reviving. Instead of fighting, or die silent. Sure can I hit? Curse mark on my wrist. Cause all these black diamonds dancing like they don't fit. Showing on my eyes, but I see through the best. Village in the leagues, but I never left. Can you feel the lightning when I strike out? Try to replicate, but
And we are live. Hello to all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to the second Grapple Gurus within the span of 24 hours. But this time we are here with La Extrema crew, so the NXT pay-per-view review squad. Well, kind of anyways. And we are here tonight to review NXT's Halloween Havoc. We are entering the spooky season. I am your host, Mikey. And joining me tonight is not my normal NXT co-host, but Luis, who is normally my NXT co-host, was at the event last night, and he is currently sitting in Hershey, Pennsylvania, watching the Monday Night Raw that is also going down tonight. So he's there while the show is airing live right now. But I called in some favors. I begged, borrowed, and pleaded. And thankfully, tonight I am joined by Minnie, who was nice enough to step in to review a very interesting Halloween Havoc, I might say. So this is going to be an interesting talk. But Minnie, thank you for being here tonight.
You know, it's I don't remember the last time I watched the last time I watched NXT. I do. It was Great American Bash when we still had the Wolf Dogs and all those guys. So I didn't recognize half the people wrestling tonight.
That is very fair. Wait a minute. Didn't you do the Stand and Deliver from this year too?
Oh, I think I did because I did everything WWE for that because I took it off. Yes, I did. But even then, there's still most of these people weren't even there.
They're definitely how.
That's the only reason why I know who Obi Femi is. By the way, he's way better than Omos. This is how Omos should have looked like.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll get into there when we talk about that. But this is going to be interesting because this was a very short card. Normally,
it's 2 hours. Normally it's 4.
Yeah, normally NXT goes like 3.5, 4 hours, maybe somewhere between the sweet spot of 3.5, or 4. But this is almost just it barely made to the 3-hour mark. This is a really short card, which is probably why I didn't. And I mean, I enjoyed some of it, but I also have a lot of questions. So, but then again, the build to all of this is It's been interesting. We'll talk about it, but we have 5 matches on the card, so we're just gonna get started because we opened up Halloween Havoc this year with probably my favorite match of the whole entire night, surprisingly enough. And this is for the NXT North American Championship match. This is the champion, Tony D'Angelo, the Don of NXT, taking on the former champion in, Obafemi, the Nigerian powerhouse that is he. To me, this was the best match of the evening just because I love me a good TLC match, which is basically what this was. And man, these two did anything and everything to keep the other down. Obafemi did a running uppercut into Tony to go through a table. There were zip ties, there were ladders, there was a whole plethora of stuff. This
crowbar came in too.
A crowbar came into play. This
a shatter machine. There was a lot.
I was very surprised. I was like, oh my goodness, FTR might be making some house calls later because with the family hitting the shatter machine, which is FTR's finisher, is kind of crazy. But I digress. Yeah, this match was nuts. And for the story that we told in here, because this is really only a 2-week build, Tony D'Angelo beat Obafemi at the NXT CW premiere earlier in the month, and has a challenge. Wanted his rematch, and so we got it in a table, ladders, and scares match. And this was great. At one point, Obafemi looked like he was about to attack Adriana Rizzo, which allowed Tony to probably do the sickest spot to me, where he does a dive through the middle rope to take down Oba, who comes crashing through a ladder that is set up as a bridge.
That spear through the middle rope.
Mm-hmm.
This match, by the way, started they couldn't even get to the introductions before the Dawn just started beating up on Obafemi and then speared him through the barricade. Thanks, Simon Miller. Love you for that one. Through the barricade in the first 30 seconds of the match.
This match was nuts.
It just didn't stop from there. It was just all action the whole time. Great way to open a show.
Absolutely. And like I previously mentioned, the family does come out to kind of help a little bit. Shattered machine through a hit. Obafemi goes through a table. Tony D'Angelo is able to get the 1, 2, 3. And your winner, and still NXT North American champion, is the Don, Tony D'Angelo.
I'm actually kind of concerned about him being called Tony and his group when they eventually get called up, because I don't know if their gimmick could hold well in the main roster.
Yeah, we're having problem with big families. Look at Legato and LWO. It's so irritating.
Right now, it's doing good. He's finally getting some recognition. I remember him a little bit from the 3-way tag match that we saw at Stand and Deliver 2 years ago, between them, the Gallows, and I think what was the other one? It was
the Creeds.
Was it the Creeds?
Yeah, it was Brutus and Julius.
Okay.
Which it's crazy how much has changed in the 2 years.
Right. I'm sitting there watching NXT. I'm like, I know who this is. I know who this is. I don't know who the hell that is. Who's this person? They're cool. Don't know who you are. Who's this Zarya chick? I don't know. She can step on me though. So.
Oh, well, I'm so excited. We will talk.
When we talk about that one, we have another big Australian buff woman coming into wrestling. And you know what? I'm okay with it. We like women who can kick her ass here on the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast. If you guys haven't figured that out already.
Oh, we absolutely will.
But yeah, this match was insane, start to finish. Great way to start the show. I agree with Mikey. Probably match of the night. If you can watch any match from this card, it would be this one.
Oh, absolutely. And I was kind of surprised that this opened. I'm not gonna lie.
Personally, every single time there's an NXT North American Championship match on a card, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. The North American Championship division has always been really great, and
it reminds me of the old school X division from TNA.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good people in the North American scene, and well, there was also some reports today that Obafemi was saying his goodbyes to the NXT locker room, so it looks like he might be pushed up to main roster here soon.
I want to see him and Braun Breaker.
I think that match would be amazing.
Yeah, it carries on like every single time I watch an NXT PLE. North American Championships on the line. It's normally either the match of the night or it is in the top two. Like it's always been super, super good, super solid work. It's like the old school. If you guys know the old school TNA X Division when they had Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, it's very reminiscent of that. Always really good work. The matches are always great. I mean, come on. The 5-way for the NXT North American Championship at Stand and Deliver was like top 3 for like 3 or 4 of us for a match of the year. That's how good these matches are. They're like very, very, very good matches. And this is up there. It's a really good TLC match. Holds its own. Probably one of the better matches I've watched in the past, 3-4 months.
I agree. I think this is a great way to kick off the show. If Oba Femi is truly moving up to main roster, man, what a presentation he's had in NXT. And I'm interested to see who comes, who's going to feud with Tony next. So we move on to our second match, which was also a really solid match, in my opinion, in which we have our tag team match, in which we had the team of Roxanne Perez, our NXT Women's Champion, and Cora Jade taking on the newcomers of Julia and Stephanie Vicker.
I didn't watch the build. I just watched the event solo. Last I remember, Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez hated each other.
So yes, they eventually did. But since Cora's been out on injury and now that Roxanne has become this heel, it makes sense that Cora and Roxanne would align each other.
I thought she was a face still. See? This is one of those matches. I knew who Cora and Roxanne were. That's why I rooted for them, because I didn't know who the other two were.
So Julia and Stephanie Vicker, while they are new to NXT, they are not new to wrestling in general. In fact, they are big in the international market.
I've seen that because I think I've seen like stuff all over Twitter about them. And
yeah, so Julia is from Japan. She was a big, the big poster child for Stardom Wrestling. So that was there.
She was okay. And the other chick looked like female Darby Allin.
So Stephanie has also been around the world, but she has spent a lot of tenure in a CMLL in Mexico, so Lucha Libre. So she's really good. And of course, for those who watch AEW, you saw her go up against Mercedes Moné at Forbidden Door. And so Stephanie is now here along with Julia in WWE. So the build to this, Julia and Roxanne went at it for the NXT Women's Championship on the CW premiere of NXT a couple earlier in the month. We had a hooded figure kind of help Roxanne retain. It was revealed to be Cora. Julia was left with 1-on-2, and then Stephanie literally made her debut the following week, which set up this tag team match that we were getting between the four of them. I really thought this was an amazing match. Julia and Stephanie are amazing. Roxanne and Cora are also amazing. This was a really great match.
I can't disagree. Like I said, I didn't know who half the people were, but I was like, man, this match is dope. I want to see more.
Yo, shout out to Cora for taking all of that knee strike from Julia towards the end.
Cora Jade with the coffin drop, too, from the top rope on the outside of the ring.
And then the swanton, too, that she hit.
Isn't this her first match back since like she just destroyed her knee?
Yeah, this is her first match. And man, Cora Jade looked like she hasn't lost the step. So good on Cora. But Julia and Stephanie do pick up the victory. Julia does throw Roxanne off of the top rope, which allows Stephanie to hit one of the coolest looking finishers of hers, which is like a corkscrew splash of some sort.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what it was. It's like an old school spinal tap.
Mm-hmm.
It is now my second favorite female finishing move. First is still Sol Ruka's, but
oh yeah, the Soul Snatcher.
That one's dope. This one was also really cool.
I thought this was a really good match, and definitely all four women shined. But man, Stephanie is a big star, and because she's the one that picked Roxanne, I'm pretty sure that Stephanie and Roxanne is coming up soon for that championship.
Probably.
Which makes a lot of sense. So at this point, when we got through the first two matches, I was like, damn, Halloween Havoc might actually be pretty good. The build to this has not been necessarily the best, but the first two matches were like amazing. This is going to be great. So then we get into our third match, and this is where things start to get a little weird for me. So next up, we have in an ambulance match, we have Andre Chase taking on Ridge Holland. Okay, so I want to start with the positives before I start critiquing this. So I'm happy to see Andre Chase back. I love Ridge Holland as a heel. I think, this more evil side of Ridge is fantastic. Maybe it was just me, but Minnie, did the match feel like we were going in slow motion at parts of this thing?
Yes.
Okay, it wasn't just me.
Which is saying something, because I watched Ridge on the main roster, and he doesn't go slow. I mean, that's why, no offense, some of the stuff that were complete accidents. I'm saying, preface this now before I say this, because Ridge goes very quick, and because of that, he had a tendency to hurt a couple people. But this match did seem very slow, which, I mean, good on Ridge's part for slowing himself down. But yeah, slow.
I also felt like the spots that they picked didn't necessarily have the impact that they did. So, like, for example, I knew this match was going to be a lot different than my expectations, because when Andre Chase went to the ambulance, which is a giant hearse, by the way, nice touch. I love that.
I also like Andre Chase's uniform and the Freddy Krueger inspired.
Oh, yes, that sweater is amazing, and WWE would be behest to not be able to do that. Anywho, but I knew this match was going to get weird at first, because Andre goes to the, ambulance and pulls out the stretcher, and then he's just standing there for a little bit. I'm like, what is he doing? And then it's one of those automated stretchers that like electrically will move down, which I was like, oh, we got the budget for one of these. All right, this is interesting. But it took like 6 or 7 seconds for those things to come fully down. I was like, oh, this is not what I think it's going to be. And then when Andre got it, it just kind of stood there, and then he tried ramming it into Ridge, which didn't really look right. Ridge sold it. This was a really weirdly paced match. And we get to the very end of this. Andre Chase almost has the door closed on Ridge. Ridge sticks his hand out like a horror movie villain, pokes the eye. Ridge hits a finisher onto the top of the stage, throws Andre in, closes the door. The winner of the ambulance match is Mr. Ridge Holland. So at this point, I was like, okay, not necessarily my favorite match, but good on Ridge. I'm happy he won. I feel like he needed to win this one specifically, since he's been built as this monster and destroying every member of Chase U. So, but yeah, this was there have been a couple of ambulance matches that we've had in the last couple of years. There was one during the pandemic era, and then there was one a couple of years ago where we had, what was it? Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns in the ambulance match is probably my favorite that we've had in this recent era. And then Randy Orton had one during the pandemic era too, which was okay. But yeah, the Roman Reigns and the Braun Strowman run is exactly what I want to see from an ambulance match. And this was plain and safe, which, is unfortunate, which to the point that you brought up, Minnie, Ridge tends to have to slow himself down because he has hurt people in the past, but it definitely didn't help the pacing of this match. I thought this pacing was really weird and it felt off.
It did. It kind of threw the match in a weird loop. I'm not sure if I should enjoy this because it feels a little weird, but I'm also like, it's not bad, but it's not like good.
It's like in the middle.
Yeah.
It was decent. I will say the crowd did love the pumpkin spot, and they were chanting for a pumpkin spot the whole entire match. I was like, y'all are weird here in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
It doesn't have to be Hershey. I think if they were anywhere, they would have been chanting for a pumpkin spot.
Which we did, which was a lot of fun, and the crowd popped for that. But other than that, this was just a middle of the road match. I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't spectacular either. I am happy to see Ridge win. Ridge, we're going to talk about you when we get to the end because the ending kind of soured me on where we're going next for NXT, and it bums me out a little bit. But we move on to our semi-main event because NXT was not wasting any time this evening because we go into our semi-main event, which is for the NXT North American Women's Championship, in which we have our champion, Kalani Jordan, Carmelo Hayes' girlfriend right now, and she is defending her championship against Fatal Influence, which is the team of Jasmine Nix, JCJ, and Fallon Henley. And okay, so let me talk about this build, because this build makes no sense to me, and it kind of made me mad. So 2 weeks ago on NXT, it was made that Fatal Influence would be taking on Julia and Stephanie Verker on the Go Home show. And if Fatal Influence beats Stephanie and Julia, they would get a championship match for the NXT North American Women's Championship at Halloween Havoc. Lo and behold, Go Home show arrives. Fatal Influence loses to Stephanie and Julia in a very amazing bout. Honestly, it was a really good match. But then they still get the championship match anyway. So I was like, but Ava, they didn't win. Why do they get the championship match? But now I think I understand why when we talk about the match, what happens after the match. So Kalani, during the pre-show, finds out that she will be facing Fatal Influence in a gauntlet match because the wheel landed on Spinner's choice. So Fatal Influence decided that in order for Kalani to retain her championship, she would have to go through a gauntlet match. So she would have to beat all 3 members of Fatal Influence in order to retain her championship. I don't know if we were cut for time or what, but this kind of happened really quickly. At least the last section of the gauntlet match, because we first get Kalani versus Jasmine, which goes for about 5 minutes or so. Kalani beats Jasmine. JC comes in. We get a little bit longer. I love that part. And then when it became Kalani versus Fallon, it was less than 5 minutes. And then thanks to the numbers game, Kalani gets distracted. Fallon hits her finisher, pins her 1, 2, 3. Your winner and new NXT North American Women's Champion is Fallon Henley. I was really bummed. I thought Kalani still had a little bit left in her title reign. But this match was like, the in-ring wasn't bad, but I feel like this would have been good for an NXT weekly show, not a pay-per-view.
I didn't know who anybody in this match was. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. It was smart. I did see a little bit of like the women winning and being like, "Oh, we could do what we want for our match," and it was smart to actually see the heels' tactics actually come into play with the gauntlet match and using their numbers against them to win. I thought that was actually smart to see that happen. But I'm also like, I don't know who any of these people are. I'm just here to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to say it, and I don't mean to sound bad when I say this, but really this match was here to set up with what we got afterwards. So let's talk about after this match. So Kalani is nowhere to be found. She's probably out of the ring. And then Fallon gets on the mic with the rest of Fatal Influence. They say statement made. They're the new champion. And then the lights go out. And then we have Zarya, a.k.a. Delta's music hits. And the girls of Fatal Influence are looking at the ramp, waiting for her to appear. She does not. Camera pans over. We see Zarya behind the Fatal Influence girls. And she just decimates all 3 of them. Also, I would like to say, if Zarya wants to use the F5 of her finisher, we can, so that way it's not solely just exclusive to a certain Brock Lesnar.
I was watching that match. I'm like, did she just use an F5?
She used an F5. I was like, if she wants to use the F5 of her finisher, like, I am not going to say no. But Homegirl decimated Fatal Influence. And Zarya, I was just like, yes, Ms. Delta. So, for those of you who do not know who Delta is a big name on the European/UK independent circuit scene. And one of our followers sent me a message and gave me like the full 6 degrees of Delta, of like a whole full circle moment. So I'm gonna read it for everyone because I thought it was interesting. So this is how Delta is connected to a lot of the folks here and currently in WWE. So this is where the full circle moment goes. So first, Finn was the one that trained Becky Lynch. Then Finn Balor and Becky Lynch trained Lyra Valkyria. Then it connects that Io and her sister, along with Kairi and Asuka, trained Julia. Julia, Io, Rhea Ripley, and Becky Lynch all helped train Delta/Zarya. So now we have a full circle moment where Delta is connected to Rhea, Becky, Julia, and Io. When I tell you those 4 names alone, like I'm just like,
That's a squad.
That is a squad, and not to mention that Becky and Finn are Becky is responsible with training Zarya, and Becky's also responsible along with Finn, who trained Lyra too. So Becky, this whole 6 degrees of individuals connected to Zarya and how we got here has me super excited. So Miss Zarya is probably not. I would not be surprised if she
got
wins
trained
that
by
title.
the fucking Avengers.
The Avengers of Irish and Japanese wrestling, if you will.
She got the best of European strong style and Japanese strong style.
And the fact of the matter that she's using F5s out here like it's nothing. I was just like, oh, she'd be
tossing girls. I'm like, damn, she tossed the fuck out of her.
And I'm super excited for all of that. But the crazier thing too is that, you know, there are reports because Zarya makes her in-ring debut this Tuesday on NXT. So I would not be surprised if we get her winning this North American Women's Championship really soon, which sucks for Fallon and Fatal Influence. But I mean, come on now, look at Zarya. Like, homegirl is just primed and to be a powerhouse of the women's division. So the match itself that we got here was fine, but it was everything after the match that was the best part, and that's unfortunate. But I'm excited for Zarya. With her, Julia, and Stephanie in this women's division, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think Shawn Michaels, you have a stacked women's roster right now. Not with just those 3, but who also is left here as somebody who's been watching NXT, you know, post Stand and Deliver and all the girls that we have, and then also the NXT girls coming in and crossing over here. Shawn Michaels is about to take over. And also, Shawn Michaels, if you want to bring back the women's PLE specifically, because you have enough women to do that again.
Yeah, they have a tag, a mid, and a main card belt now.
And how is it that they'd have it before main roster does? Like, this is wild.
This is the NXTs where you test that shit.
That's also very true. But shout out to Fallon. I saw the video that NXT posted. She was crying. Shawn Michaels was congratulating her. Definitely well deserved. But homegirl is probably going to lose his title relatively within the next couple of weeks, but I could be wrong. Then we get into our main event of the evening, which was also a really fun match. And I honestly was going to pick this as my favorite match of the evening until we got to the ending, which really soured it on me. But in our main event of Halloween Havoc for the NXT Championship, we have Mr. Whoop That Trick himself, our NXT champion Trick Williams, taking on the challenger, All Ego Ethan Page, in a Devil's Playground match, which is basically a no DQ match. I was disappointed because Devil's Playground, like when we had Roxanne participate in Devil's Playground last year, there was a literal swing set and like a children's playground. Roxanne took a whole entire plastic slide and slapped her opponent with it, and it was amazing. So I thought we were going to get a whole swing set. I thought we were going to get a ball pit like we did last time. But this was just a no DQ match, which was great, and I loved it. But you could definitely tell that Ethan did all the heavy lifting for this match, because this is Trick's like very first like no DQ style of match.
Why the fuck was Bubba Ray Dudley there?
Okay, so let's just pass through it. So the match I really enjoyed, and I honestly thought this was going to be my match of the night because Trick had to go to places he couldn't. He literally dick punched Ethan Page, but this is no DQ, so he couldn't be disqualified, which allowed him to hit the Trick knee for the win. And I was all ecstatic. I was like, okay, so it seems like we're done with Ethan because this is his 3rd shot at Trick, so I think we're going to move on to the next person. So then Ridge comes in after the match and beats up on Trick. I was like, okay. So like a filler feud, we can do Trick versus Ridge for a little bit. And then eventually, I think we set up Trick versus Wes. and have Wes be the one to dethrone Trick at a later time. Cool. I'm all here for this. Then Ethan joins in the beating, and I was like, okay, so we're going to get a tag team match. Like, Trick will team up with somebody, and he'll take on Ridge and Ethan. Awesome. Then this is where NXT Halloween Havoc lost major points for me, because Mr. Bully Ray himself, Bubba Ray Dudley, comes into the ring to Trick's aid, and then it is told to us via social media and the news outlets, because in 2 weeks, NXT will be at the ECW Arena on a Wednesday, because they're not going to air NXT on Tuesday due to elections. So they're going to go head-to-head with AEW Dynamite, and they're going to have it at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia. But it was announced that we are getting Ridge Holland and All Ego Ethan Page versus Trick Williams and Bubba Ray Dudley. And I turned my television off. I was like, hell to the no. Why are we doing this?
Huh?
That's what I said. Huh? I was more pressed than the Panini Mini, because anybody who has tuned into TNA knows that I cannot stand Mr. Bully Ray, Bubba Ray Dudley, and his guts. He is an asshole. His takes are not great, and he's just overall not a great person in my eyes. And the fact that you're putting this man in NXT and teaming him up with Trick Williams, I'm just like, this did not need to happen. You're only doing this because we're doing the ECW Arena show in 2 weeks. But Bubba Ray does not need to be on here. I'm so confused.
I'm just as confused as you are.
Which then kind of brings up the issue that I had with this ending, and the fact that normally NXT is hit or miss with a lot of stuff, but I give NXT credit because normally they're consistent in how they book their matches and who's feuding with who. This ending definitely showed me a chink in the armor of NXT, and this is a huge problem because of the fact if Oba Femi is moving up to main roster, and everybody else is involved in other things. Right now, the NXT men's division for the NXT championship, since Trick is a face, you have a lack of heels. Because right now, the only heels we have in this division is All Ego Ethan Page and Ridge Holland. We have no other heels to go up against Trick. So we literally are about to have Ridge and Ethan feud with Trick for who knows how long. And I'm just like, we don't need Ethan and Ridge. We could have just had Ridge attack and Ridge and Trick go at it for a little bit, but then you set up Wes versus Trick down the line. Like
Wes versus Trick, they're bringing a TNA guy over.
Yeah, you could bring somebody over from TNA to feud with Trick right now. Like Moose would be great. Josh Alexander would be fantastic.
Moose.
Seriously. Or, because depending on what's going to happen, shoot. You can have any of the boys from the system, like Brian Myers or Eddie Edwards. Speedball Mike Bailey could be fun. You already had Joe Hendry go up against All Ego Ethan Page, so we don't want to run that back. But yeah, I'm not excited for this tag team match, Minnie. I'm not.
It's gonna get it over with,
I guess. But again, this is going to be a short review because there's only 5 matches, and this is only like a 2.5 hour pay-per-view, but we've reached the end of our Halloween Havoc review. Damn, we got this done in like almost 40 minutes.
We got this done quicker than we did all of SmackDown and Raw.
For reals. And I try to be fair when it comes to the NXT, so we get into our empanada rating. So I definitely could give it because I review NXT, but I'm going to be honest, this is probably my least favorite NXT pay-per-view this year, which is saying something because I've liked every single pay-per-view that NXT has put on this year, from Vengeance Day to, Stand and Deliver. We had Heat Wave. No Mercy was fantastic. But yeah, Halloween Havoc is probably my least favorite. I'm going to give this like a 6.5 out of 10. Because I gave it a C+ when I did the recap rating. So I give this a C+. I don't think this was a horrible show as some people are making it out to be. But when you start hot with the table ladders and scares match for the NXT North American Championship match, and then the women's tag team match was fantastic.
Then you end with
why? Yeah, the Devil's Playground match was about to be really good, but that ending was weird, and the fact that Bubba Ray is going to be in NXT makes me upset. So I'm just like, I have to give this a 6.5 out of 10. This is a C plus for me. I thought it was an okay show. It wasn't bad, but it could have been better, and I'm a little underwhelmed with Halloween Havoc. It definitely
I don't know
is.
what to give it. I'm just gonna agree with you because it was weird. I mean, it was cool, a little weird.
Yeah, and I feel bad because my expectations, I thought this match was going to be fun because I love me a good gimmick match. Like we had an ambulance match, Devil's Playground, table ladders and scares. The gauntlet match could have been fun. And even though, our women's tag team match was just a regular tag team, I knew those 4 women would bring it, and they did. But I was so underwhelmed with the remaining the last 3 matches of the card. And when you have something as strong as the first 2 matches, it doesn't balance out. So I was disappointed. Still an enjoyable show. I do recommend watching the North American Championship match that opened the show, and I definitely recommend Stephanie and Julia versus Roxanne and Cora. Those would be the 2 matches I'd watch for sure. And if you scrub out the ending of the main event, the Devil's Playground match was actually really fun too. But Minnie, I appreciate and thank you for being here. So thank you for filling in for my NXT team. This was a fun one, and any chance I get to hang out with you is always a plus in my eyes.
I just work here.
Yes, you do, and you work here very well. But that is going to be it for this rendition of Grapple Gurus. A bit of a short episode, but that is okay because this is a short pay-per-view. So the remainder of this week is back to our normal scheduled programming now that pay-per-view season for the month of October has officially come to an end. So tomorrow evening, you can catch the All Elite Ensemble review, the AEW crew, and we're going to talk a lot about what happened in AEW. So,
I don't watch AEW.
Which is fair, but we're going to talk. Oof. I'm going to rip Dynamite to shreds from this past week because it was very mid and it wasted my time. It was so not great. And I can't wait to hear Adolfo and Alice. And hopefully the professor will come back tomorrow, but we'll see. Then on Wednesday, it's a double dose of the NXT and CMLL teams as we review things that happened as well. And then ending off the week on Friday, we have our ROH and TNA reviews. And we also start again with our WWE review this upcoming Sunday, which is going to be weird because we're reviewing the go-home shows for Raw and SmackDown because...
Crown Jewel.
Yeah, Crown Jewel, which I will post the results. We will not be doing a formal review because of where it's taking place, but this is going to be interesting. But that is going to be it for us here. So for myself and Minnie, thank you so much for tuning in to Grapple Gurus, and from us too and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family. Remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic. More importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will be back tomorrow with the AEW crew, as well as the rest of the shows this week. But until then, sayonara, adios, and Minnie, why don't you tell the folks, why do we here at BC WrestlePod review wrestling and do what we do?
Because we wanted to.
Yes, I love it. We'll catch you tomorrow, but until then, ta-ta for now.